Hello, good day. My name is Topman, Paul-Dike, and here is a pair learning section on Python programming. Yeah, and I'll be using the command line because most of us here are, should I say, command line users. We are trained to use the Linux environment to write programs, and that's because most of us here are students of LX. I appreciate the fact that there might be some persons here who are not students of LAX, and there might be some persons watching on YouTube who are not students of LS. So you might be expecting me to use VS Code or PyCharm or any IDE. We are trying to use some some kind of editors, VI actually, VI, Vim, Emacs. So that's what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using Vim for this section. So pardon me, pardon us, and you might as well pay attention and learn, and then do it on your VS Code or on whatever IDE you use. All right, so these are the objectives I hope to cover in this particular segment. This is the Python road with Topman Paul-Dike, and basically we're here to learn from one another. So the first one says, why is Python programming awesome? Why is Python programming awesome? I'm going to copy that particular line and I will take it to another slide, or what is this called? Is it page? I'll take it to another one and I'll paste it there. And did I copy it? Yes, I did. So let me paste it here. Okay, so why is Python programming? Why Python programming is awesome? Hold on. Why Python programming is awesome? Okay, I'll just be writing down as because these things are important. There are things that you you can learn Python, the language Python, without paying attention to these things. You can learn, but these things have a way of um, increasing your proficiency and making you efficient at what you do. So I'll just take my points here and explain them. Python programming is awesome because the codes they're quite easy. Easy. I mean, it's easy to learn. Most of you are coming from C. In fact, some of you hated hate C. You know, some of you, if you know C, you know that C is so much fun. So I'm not gonna be quoting. I'll try not to quote, not to be making reference to this language, that one. I'll just teach Python like pure Python. Okay, but this guy is easy. If you've experienced coding or programming, you know this guy is really easy to use. You learn it easily. Where one line of code will be doing what more lines of code have been doing in some other programming language. All right. Okay. So and then beginners can easily learn it. Beginners can easily learn Python. Like if you've never heard of Python before in this section, I bet you by the end of this section you've learned something about Python. You'll start writing Python programs. Right. So and then there are powerful libraries and frameworks. That would be my point too. Because powerful libraries and framework. Okay. Actually, frameworks it should be plural. That would sound strange if you're new to programming, but it wouldn't sound strange if you're not new to programming. But nonetheless, it's not something to worry about. Something to worry about. I think that you may not understand now, but understand in the future. So another reason why Python programming is awesome is extensibility. Extensibility. Accessibility. What is accessibility? Is the functionality that allows, or the quality of allowing you can add C code to Python and it will run. Python allows that integration. Okay, I think these are enough points, but I'm going to add this one. Excuse me. Python, I mean, you can do machine learning with Python, right? If you want to learn machine, Python is a wonderful choice. Python is really awesome. Actually, it's really awesome. And I'm going to state, I will not forget to state that Python has a large community, right? Python has a large community. Python has a large community. Okay, so I haven't said this, but by saying large community, we are saying that there are plenty of persons that are interested in uh, Python programming, such that they they bring it, they reproduce things, they invent things that were not originally there, especially libraries, and frameworks. Those things are not originally there. They follow a pattern, rules that have been stated, because where there are no rules, thank you, Joyce. Where there are no rules, abuse is inevitable. Okay, so to prevent abuse, you follow the rules, you follow the pattern. How do they do it? How do they do it? Because you can actually achieve something the way, by not following the set down rules, but you have to follow the set down rules so that you don't cause, so that you maintain standards. So that's why Python is awesome. Next is who created Python. I think talking about this is as good as talking about this, and somehow we might talk about this in the process, and then we might talk about this in the process. So who is this guy? I just saw today that this guy is alive. I was so touched. I said, how I wish you would be talking about my inventions and worldwide, global inventions, that when I'm still this young. How I wish people talk about my global inventions in the next 2 years or 3 years. I mean, I started thinking big. I think big already. I started thinking bigger. This man is 65 years of age. The man that wrote Python, and he started Python not as a major project, as a hobby, like something he does at his spare time. Man, see, add value to your life. Oh. If you watch my GitHub account, you just will not believe, except I tell you that I came to LX as a newbie with zero coding experience. I'm just saying this part to inspire you. I'm debating a bit, but I think it will inspire someone here, especially those of you that easily feel like giving up. Now, take a look at my profile. How many repositories does an LS student have? How many official repositories do we have? But look at here, I've got 44, although they are not all public, so some are private. You might see 40 or so. I've got 44 repositories. Why? Because I do things. I do things on my own. Look at this one now. It's not LS React section, and if you see the repository is loaded. Is loaded. Let's look at. Excuse me. The journey through C. Yeah. Watch this now. See how loaded it is. And some directories have directories inside them. See how loaded it is. Because I'll go out of my way. I'll be thinking, this is I'm learning alias. What can I do with them in real life? What? I'll be thinking of how to do something on my own beyond alias projects, beyond making good scores, beyond beating deadlines. So this guy was just doing this thing out of he was just doing it. He didn't have intention of building a language that the whole world will be using. Yes, that's what the story says. And so before you know it, he came up with something that you could call a programming language, and he was looking for how to name it. And there was this comedy, British comedy that he was fond of. He usually watched them. They call them Monty Python. Monty Python. Let me put it in bracket. So he didn't actually mean the snake python when he named it. So he wanted to honor these guys, honor the show. So he now choose to call it that's a Monty Python. Talking and typing such a skill, especially when I'm talking from the point of inspiration like this. So that is it, right? That was how Python came about. When it became a full-fledged language, it was launched. People got interested. People started adding. People started looking for, they started looking for how to maintain a standard, because if you don't maintain a standard, I mean, there will be the thing will be organized. Okay, and so I think that short story that about tells is all. Um, I read that Python the language was, I mean, the Python came to be in 1991, if I'm not mistaken. You might want to read about that more, to read up more about it if you're interested. If you're someone that's interested in history. I mean, we're talking Python, we're talking all these things. Why don't we just start coding? I think they're important. ALX didn't give us these things for nothing. What I have here is exactly what you have on the internet as objectives. And some of us, most of us, do not pay attention to these things. We just keep it. We want to rush into the task and make scores. Tomorrow, when you're through with this program, nobody will ask you what was your score. If you are there to, no employer will ask you. Say, how fast did you beat deadlines in your project? They won't. The question is, what can you do now? What have you learned? What can you do? What have you built? What have you done? All right. So you've got to work on adding value to your life, adding value to yourself. What is Zen of Python? Zen of Python is some. There are 19, right? There are 19 of them. Yes, I read that there are 19 of them. They are like core principles, that makes for efficiency, that makes for good practice in writing Python code. Maybe I should write my first Python code and show you something. I'll make this full screen. I have the repository here, the Python route, right? I should have it. Yeah, that's it there. Let me be sure that it's a repository. That's a repository. Oh, I've pushed a few works there already, so let me be sure that it's up to date as well. Okay, so this is from the scratch, right? So I will just ignore this directories and make a directory. I'll call it from the scratch. Or from the scratch. From the scratch is cool enough. From the scratch. So I've been numbering them like ALX. 0 from the scratch. Next one will be 1 like this, 2 like this, using hexadecimals. So 0 from the scratch. Okay. So of course I have to have make directory here at the beginning. I have the directory right now. I'm going to cd into it. Let me write our first Python program. The first program you should write. Very simple. If you don't know how to use the command line, please forgive me. I'm just opening the editor. The editor is Vim, and this is how we open it. Just like when you do code this on your terminal, you open the directory. So I'm doing Vim. If I do, as a matter of fact, if I do Vim dot, it open this directory as well. That's the way VS Code does. But I want to open the file. I want to create a new file. So I'll call this one. Let me call it hello world, because that's that's what I'm going to do with the file actually. But I have to add the file extension .py. What is file extension? Let me now assume that we all know what file extension is. File extension is what shows the format of a file. And let's break the grammar down. By the time I give one example or two, you will give me the rest. So quickly, unmute at random. I permit random unmuting. Give me some more file extension. We have .mp3. Anytime you see this thing, you know that thing is a music, right? You just know. They will have .mp4. Somebody unmute like you're computing. Just shout it. JPEG. Okay. .c. Beautiful.
Yes.
JPEG. I'm using my mouse right now. I'm not using the pad, so forgive me for writing slowly. .c.
.shege.
Which is .shege? Is it produced in your village?
.js.
.js. Beautiful. And then
.pfd.
I'm hearing PFC.
Java.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You can mute.
PSD for Photoshop.
You can mute. Thank you. Now, these are all file extensions. So the file extension for Python file is .py. If you don't add it, it's not a Python file you're writing. It's not a Python code. You can write scripts without adding extension. Scripts is a different matter. We'll talk about scripts. You've heard about scripts as well. I'm going to remind you something you know, or teach you something you know that you didn't know you know. Something you know that you didn't know you know. Okay. So this is this. And then once I put this, I am now inside the file. I will just write only one line of code and it will do what we want it to do. So print for us Hello world. Man. Okay. Okay. So let me save it.
Why putting the
Um
character as in the
what?
semicolon?
Oh, that was a mistake. It's not needed. Sorry.
But
Okay.
if we put that, will our code have
I
issues?
I I've never seen Python looking for that, so there should be a problem.
No, no, it won't. If you
Are you
put that,
sure?
yes, if you put
All
that, it
right. I'm about to learn something new. Okay. Um. So if I call the Python interpreter, we're going to talk about it shortly. Python 3, and um, pass the file to it. What's that file now? Hello world. And go. It does what it asks. Oh, I just learned for the first time that semicolon does not do any harm. Okay.
Wow.
So hello world. See why you need pairs. That's like something you've not read that someone else has read. Something you've not experienced that someone else has experienced. No matter how much you know. Okay. So hello world has printed. Just wrote a program. Now, please, if you're encountering Python for the first time, don't be overwhelmed. Don't be asking what are you doing, how you doing it, or this. Where did Python did you come from? This. Just relax. You're moving. Um, hello. What's the problem? Okay, 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 okay. I should. About. I did not close the interpreter, so I should just open it. Okay. Now, this same program, do you know? I mean, the user, someone using your app or your software will be seeing what is happening outside. Wouldn't know how you put it inside, how you implemented it inside. So I could come here and say print. Let's say I declare a variable here and say the name of the variable is word one, and I say word one equals hello. Like I said, don't bother if what I'm doing now looks strange. Hello, and then word two equals word. Uh, okay. Okay, then I come here, the print, I pass to the print and say print hello world. Now will this program run or not?
It will run, definitely.
Great. So let's try it again now. It's running and there's no problem, but this is rubbish. This is around this is plenty of rubbish I just did. So the Zen, I just did that demo to explain what Zen of Python means. The Zen of Python, they are sort of rules that define best practices. They tell you how best to write a code that is acceptable. You know, Python has a large community. You don't want to write something that I mean, we should speak the same language. You don't want to have a French language of Python, and then you speak the Chinese language of Python. You should have one language. You should write a program that someone else so far off can understand. That write a program that everybody in the community will understand and appreciate and say, okay, this is it. So Zen of Python, you will see number one, like beautiful is better than ugly. The next is explicit is better than implicit. If you're an LS student, it's done your intranet 0x0 hello world. You see simple is better than complex. Complex is better than complicated. Readability counts. I just said 5 of them. That's what the Zen of Python is. All right. How to use the Python interpreter. You're moving, right? You're moving. The first way to use the Python interpreter is what I just did now. Let's assume I did not do anything on this place, on this terminal. Just assume the terminal is blank and virgin. Take your mind off that I did anything. Let's assume we don't even have Python here. So the first thing you want to do to have Python installed is sudo apt update your packages and dependencies. Yeah, and it will take a while depending on how fast your network is. And so after update, the next thing you want to do, I like to upgrade, but upgrading is not necessary when you have nothing to upgrade. So you will know from the result of this, you will know whether you have anything to upgrade. But then if you upgrade when you have nothing to upgrade, there is no harm. It doesn't cause any harm. So you might as well just run this first and then run sudo apt upgrade. Okay. And then after that, show you how we install Python. If you don't have it running on your local. But usually Python, once you install a Linux system, I've observed that Python 3 is by default installed there. Why are we saying Python 3 by the way? We are saying Python 3 because there is Python 1 and there's Python 2. And two of them are just named Python. Let me create this and ask them in. So you see Python like this, written like this. They're either referring to Python version 1. Let me call this V1 or V2. Sorry, V2. But to make a distinction between them, they have to add 3 to this one, Python 3. You're talking about version 3. Of course, there are different, could I call it sub versions or what? I still made a mistake. V2, please. You can see 3 points, this plus this, 3.10 plus 8, 3 point this point. They're all version, they're all varieties of Python 3. So Python 3 is the interpreter. Get that into your head. Python 3 is the interpreter. Python is an interpreted code. It is not a compiled code. You don't need to compile it and run the executable. No. You write it and just run it. It runs. It's interpreted. So it, of course, bytecodes are produced. Okay, let's not go into that. But in a way, something that looks like compilation happens, but it's not compilation. Actually, it's not exactly compilation. Looks like automatic compilation, where executables are produced, called bytecodes, something like that. But then just know that Python is an interpreted language. It's the compilation. Just if I told there's anything as compilation, then it happens at runtime. You don't have a different file. You don't have difference between the source code and the compiled code. You just run and it runs. Okay. So Python 3 is the interpreter. We're finished updating. Now you're seeing, I have upgrades to do. 46 packages can be upgraded. Okay, let's do them then. You're learning, right? So I'll call back this command and change this update to upgrade. Hope this not take plenty of time. Okay. I have 2 terminals open, so while it's upgrading, if it's taking plenty of time, so what I'll do. Let me get Y. You enter Y, press enter, and it continues upgrading. For me not to take, I don't know how long this will take, so let me just open another terminal and assume here that the upgrade is, we are through with the upgrade, right? The upgrade has completed, and then after the upgrade complete, you want to install Python, right? But before installing, you are most likely going to have Python already. If it's a Linux system, you're most likely going to have it already. Check whether you have it. I think I need to fly. Let's check whether I have Python 1 or Python 2. So version Python not fun. See, they're asking me, did you mean this? Did you mean this? Right? So it's not there. So, but if I go and add 3 here now, I'll be surprised if I don't have it. I'll just run away. So you can see it's showing me the version that I have. I have Python 3.8.10. So it's version 3, but 0.8.10. Right? If it wasn't there, I would have done sudo. Of course, if I still do it, there is no harm. Sudo apt install Python. I believe this is correct. Yeah, to install Python. Okay, let's try it. Enter. Waiting. Okay, that guy will not let it. Okay. So it's waiting for that process to continue. So it is held by process this. So if that guy does not stop, it cannot continue. So let me just do what now? Kill the process and just open that terminal and continue what I'm doing. Or maybe I should leave it to be upgrading first, and I will come here and continue my explanations. I'll come back to it. Okay. What's next? Yeah. using the interpreter. So there are two ways you can use the interpreter. The two ways you can use the interpreter are now if you come when you come back to this board, you will enjoy yourself. I mean, you will enjoy the board because you see how you saw when I did what I did. I may not arrange it very well, but you saw when you know what everything means. That's why I shared the link to the board, to the whiteboard, so you can come back to it at will. So um, okay, if you're watching on YouTube, find the link to the whiteboard on the description. Yeah. So argument passing. And let me call this one interactive mode. That's what it is actually. Interactive mode. Interactive mode. That's not a spelling of interactive. Oh, clearly it says missing interactive mode. So these are the two ways you can use the Python interpreter: argument passing, interactive mode. I'm going to. You need to pay attention, okay? It might get a bit. The reason I'm going to take it might look a bit complex is because most of us here are LS students, so I want to break it. The LS want us to know what is happening inside there, what is happening under the hood, what is happening. So they will now introduce something that almost look like it is not used in real life, just to make you understand what is happening. In fact, some of your tasks will require you to work with Python 1 or Python 2. So you write codes that are no more in use today, but Python 3 is still. I mean, what works in Python in the previous versions will still work in the new version, but what works in the new version might not work in the old version. Okay, that's by the way. Can I true? Hey, I looked for trouble today. Okay, argument passing. For example, I did argument passing just a while ago. How? Argument passing is you call the interpreter Python 3 and you pass the file or the code that you want it to interpret as the argument. I said the file or the code. Take note. The file or the code. Let me put it here. Let me say py and Python 3 py code. They are two different things. A file will contain several codes. A file is a file, like is a kind of place where you put all the codes inside. But this one is the bare code. The bare code on the command line. You pass it to the interpreter. That's the two ways you can use the argument passing style or way of using the Python interpreter. Can I make this more organized? I'm thinking of making this more organized. So say I'll cut this off and I'll duplicate this. I'll paste it here and I'll cut this off and paste it here. And so I will put it down here and put this one down here. And I will call this number 1. Yeah. And I'll call this 1A. And this 1B. I'm actually buying time to make my upgrading complete. But what I'm doing is making sense, right? So and now I'll do this. I'll come here and say using the Python interpreter. The Python interpreter. I'm not typing fast today. Interpreter. Okay, so this is the heading. I'll make it a bit larger. So I've said there are two ways, and these are the two ways. That argument passing, you can pass the file as an argument to Python 3 or pass the code as an argument to Python 3. Now there's something called bash, something called bin, how to print text and variables. I think we just did that. We just did how to print text now. We printed a text, hello world. That's usually or conventionally the first program you write when you're learning a programming language. So how to print text? You just use the function called print, right? So you call print and you put what you want to print as uh, um, its argument. Actually, that's what it is actually. So when you call a function, whatever you put in the bracket is called argument, right? If there's a comma, if there are more than one thing separated with comma, so that's how many arguments you have, right? If I have something here, comma, and another thing here, it means I give print two arguments. So printing something in Python is as simple as writing print and putting what you want to print within the parentheses, the opening and closing circular brackets. Okay, that's how to use print. And then how to print what is in the variable. Yes, let's discuss what is a variable. What that guy is laying. We are using our time where what is a variable? A variable is something that is housing something. A variable is something housing something. Let's assume we had a bag here. I said this is a bag. You can't pour water into this bag. That will be funny, very funny. You can't pour water into this bag, but you can put rice in it. You can put Gary in it. If you know what is called Gary, you can put sand in it. You can put. It could be a bag of beans. I don't know what I'm calling a food that is available in all those countries that are represented here. But you can put some solid materials in it, right? You couldn't do this if it was a basket. Basket will have openings, you know. You couldn't do that. It will you will lose them. There are things that baskets can hold for you, you know. The things that basket can hold for you, and there are things that let's say uh, let's say what now? Okay, let me use cup. A cup. Let's say we had a cup like this. I had a handle. So there are things that the cup can hold for you. You can pour liquid substance into this place and uh, they will stay, right? So take these things that I drew here to be variables. Take the contents to be the data. Let me take that again with another color of pen. Take these things that I drew here as variables. Oh my god. Whoa. I love that country no matter what. Okay. And then take what is inside it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has happened several times and has not stopped happening. But one day it will stop. It has not stopped happening. One day it will stop.
And they just brought light at my hand here.
Transfer. Data. Wow. Are you serious? Wow, several things to cover. Really sorry about